It was a quiet night on the edge of the Earth colony zone. The wind moved through the dry trees. A small house stood alone, just outside the main settlement. Inside, a man named Aaron was half asleep on the couch, an old book resting on his chest. The fire in the heater had almost died. Suddenly a knock, not loud, but sharp. Aaron opened his eyes. He checked the time. 02:13 a.m. Another knock, this time slower, weaker. Aaron stood up, confused. No one visited at this hour. He grabbed his coat, slipped on his boots, and walked to the door. As he opened it, cold air rushed in, and so did something else. A woman. She collapsed into his arms. Aaron barely caught her before she hit the floor. Her skin was smooth but pale blue. Her hair was silver, tangled and wet from the cold mist. Her clothes were torn, burned in some places. Blood, purple and sticky, covered her side. She was an alien, and she was hurt badly. Aaron looked outside, expecting to see a ship, or maybe others, but there was nothing. Just wind. Darkness. Silence. The woman's lips moved. He leaned closer. Her voice was weak, barely a whisper. "Please, don't let them find me." Then she passed out. Aaron didn't think twice. He picked her up and carried her inside. She was lighter than he expected, but she felt like she had no strength left at all. He placed her gently on the old couch, grabbed a blanket, and wrapped it around her body. Her breathing was shallow. One eye opened slightly, bright silver in color, but then closed again. Aaron moved fast. He ran to the cabinet, found a med kit, and returned. He cleaned her wounds. They were deep, but not like anything he had seen before. Her blood didn't act like human blood. It moved slower, thicker, and her skin began closing on its own. Healing. Fast. For a moment, Aaron just stared at her. She was clearly not from this colony. She looked different, moved different. And the way she spoke, he had only heard that kind of accent in off-world transmissions, but she was in his house now. She was hurt, and something was chasing her. Hours passed. The sky outside turned a soft gray. Morning was coming. The woman didn't wake. Aaron sat near her, watching, thinking. He didn't ask for this. He was just a mechanic, a quiet man with no family, no military past. He fixed old tech, traded spare parts, and liked peaceful silence. Now he had a half-dead alien on his couch, wrapped in his blanket. And the worst part? He didn't feel scared. He felt protective. Just before sunrise, the woman moved. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked around, confused, alert. Then she saw him. Her hand jumped up to her side, reaching for a weapon, but there was nothing. Aaron didn't move. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. She stared at him. "Where am I?" "My home." "You knocked. You were injured." "I knocked?" He nodded. "You passed out. You said, 'Don't let them find me.'" The woman's expression tightened. "They were close. I don't know how far I ran." Aaron asked, "Who's they?" She didn't answer. He stood slowly, keeping his hands visible. "I patched you up. You were bleeding badly. Your body, it's healing itself." The woman looked down at her side and touched the sealed wound. "It worked faster than I expected," she whispered. Then she looked at him again. "You're human." He smiled a little. "Last time I checked." "You shouldn't have helped me." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" "Because helping me might get you killed." He paused, then said, "Maybe, but leaving you outside would have been worse." The woman blinked, like no one had ever said that to her before. "What's your name?" Aaron asked. She hesitated, then replied, "Vela." He nodded. "I'm Aaron." A long silence passed between them. Then Vela looked toward the window. "I need to leave soon. If they find me here, They'll kill us both. Aaron crossed his arms. Then let's make sure they don't find you. She stared at him. You'd hide me, even now? He shrugged. You knocked, I answered. That means something. For a moment, her eyes softened. Outside, the wind howled again. Somewhere far in the distance, a low hum echoed, like the sound of a searching drone. Vela flinched. Aaron noticed. She wasn't just injured, she was being hunted, and she had come. To his door, Vela sat by the window wrapped in Aaron's gray blanket. Her silver eyes scanned the distant hills outside. Her posture was calm, but her fingers tapped the windowsill like a rhythm. Alert, trained, ready. Aaron watched her from the kitchen. He had made hot broth, the kind he usually only made when he was sick. He placed the bowl gently on the table next to her. No poison, he joked. Promise. Vela looked at the bowl, then at him. She picked it up and drank without a word. Her wounds were nearly gone. Just a day ago she had collapsed, in his arms, bleeding, weak, barely able to speak. Now she looked like she could walk for miles. Aaron couldn't help but speak what was in his head. You heal too fast. She paused mid-sip, then set the bowl down. I'm not like you, she said. Aaron pulled up a chair. I figured that out when your blood glowed purple. I'm not dangerous to you, she added. I'm not worried about that, Aaron said. I just want to understand what I let into my house. Vela looked down at her hands. You let in something that shouldn't exist. Aaron waited patiently. Finally, she spoke. My kind was made, not born. Bioformed, engineered to survive. To obey, to protect. Protect what? She looked him straight in the eye. Royal blood. Aaron blinked. Wait, you were a bodyguard? In a way, she replied. But more. I was bonded to a high bloodline. I could sense threats, feel changes in the air, hear heartbeats through walls. Aaron leaned back. So, a super soldier? She gave a soft nod. I was trained to kill without hesitation, but also to protect, to die first if needed. What happened? I disobeyed. She stood slowly, walking toward the old tech shelf near the wall. Her fingers brushed against an old photo of Aaron with his brother. Her touch left a faint glow where her skin met the frame. Aaron watched closely. You're still glowing, he said. Vela looked at her hand, then wiped it quickly. My energy is reacting. To what? She turned to him. To you. Aaron frowned. Me? Why me? You touched me when I was unconscious, carried me, cleaned my wounds. And, in my species, when someone gives that kind of care without command, it triggers a link, a low-level bond. Aaron stared. A bond? She nodded. It's not full, not permanent, but it's forming. He stood now, confused. You mean like a connection? In your terms, maybe like trust, but deeper. Your presence helps my body recover. Your voice regulates my system. Your home shields me from sensors. Aaron blinked. That's a lot. Vela moved toward the heater and sat again. I didn't expect this. I didn't come here to bond. I came here to hide, to survive. He sat across from her again. Well, congratulations. You did both. For the first time, she smiled. It wasn't big, but it was real. Outside, a faint clicking sound echoed. Aaron froze. So did Vela. She stood. In an instant, that's a scout drone. Aaron moved toward the window. How close? She shut her eyes, then whispered. 50 meters, moving slow. It hasn't picked up my signal yet. He pointed at her. Your body gives off energy, right? She nodded. Aaron rushed to the workbench. I've got something. He pulled out a metal box with wires and dusty parts. Old jammer. Doesn't last long, but if we bury your signal in noise, it might pass right over us. Vela looked impressed. You're not just a mechanic, shrugged. I fix broken things. You're the most complicated one yet. She helped him wire it. Their fingers touched briefly. Her skin felt warm. Too warm for someone so calm. Aaron noticed. She looked away. 10 minutes later, the jammer buzzed softly. The drone passed overhead and kept going. When the noise faded, Vela exhaled. Aaron looked at her. You okay? She nodded. You just saved me, he grinned. Guess we're even now. She tilted her head. No. In my culture, you've now saved me twice, he laughed. What happens at 3? Vela looked at him with a serious gaze. In my world? That means I belong to you. Aaron froze. But before he could ask more, Vela stood. I need rest, she said. She moved to the small side room, closed the door, and left Aaron standing in silence. Outside, the stars appeared one by one, and in the stillness, Aaron whispered to himself, what did I just get myself into? The next morning, the house was quiet. Aaron stood outside in the early light, fixing a broken solar panel on his roof. He tried to focus on his work, but his mind kept going back to the strange alien sleeping inside his guest room, the one with glowing blood, healing skin, and a growing bond to him. The one who said, I belong to you. Like it meant something powerful, something permanent. He was still up there when the door creaked open behind him. Vela stepped out slowly, wearing one of Aaron's spare jackets. It was too big for her, but she didn't seem to care. You don't lock your doors, she said. Aaron smiled without turning. Not until recently. She stepped closer. You have questions. More than a few. Then I'll answer, but not here. Not in open air. They went back inside. Aaron poured 2 mugs of hot water with a splash of synth tea. Vela sat cross-legged on the floor, like a soldier in meditation. Her hands rested on her knees, but her eyes never stopped, scanning the room. Before I speak, she said, you should understand this. What I tell you puts you in danger. Aaron nodded. You already did that when you knocked. She studied his face. You're not afraid. I'm curious, he replied, and tired of being alone. Vela looked at the steam rising from her cup. My title was Guardian Class Vela 5. I was grown in a lab on the planet Alarex. Our purpose was simple, to protect bloodlines, royals, high council, commanders. We weren't just guards, we were part of them. Part of them? She nodded. We were genetically linked to their vitals. If they felt fear, we felt it. If they died, we were programmed to follow. Aaron leaned forward. So you were a weapon? She met his eyes. Yes, but we were not mindless. She continued. 2 months ago, I was assigned to a political heir, someone with power over multiple systems. I lived in her shadow. I heard her secrets. I stood between her and death. Aaron listened carefully. Then one day, Vela said, her voice low, she gave an order I couldn't follow. What was it? Assassinate a peace envoy. Aaron's eyes narrowed. Someone trying to stop a war? Yes, she said. I refused. She activated the kill switch in my head, but it failed. Something inside me, I broke the bond. Aaron whispered, and that made you a fugitive. Vela nodded. I ran. They sent hunters, trackers, kill units. I fought some, escaped others, but I was injured badly. I crashed near your ridge, and then you knocked on my door. A silence settled over them. Aaron took a sip from his cup. So you're not just a soldier? She looked at him. No, I'm a secret. He asked, why didn't you kill me the moment you woke up? She stared into his eyes. Because you saw me as a person. The words hit him harder than he expected. She continued, I wasn't supposed to bond, not like this, but your kindness, it activated something ancient in me. Something older than code. Aaron scratched the back of his neck. And this bond? It's real? Yes. It grows through choice, not command. When you saved me again last night, it deepened. He looked at her. So what does this mean exactly? Vela stood slowly. In my species, if the bond completes, it becomes permanent. Permanent? It is called the lure vec, the life tie. I would become your protector, and your mate. Aaron almost dropped his cup. Mate? She tilted her head. In your words, wife. He stood now, pacing. I just wanted to help someone who was hurt, not get married to a deadly alien bodyguard. You have not completed the bond, she said calmly. You can still walk away. He looked at her. She didn't beg, she didn't cry. She offered freedom with respect, and somehow that made him want to stay even more. Suddenly, a sharp tone rang through the walls. Warning. The outer sensor Aaron installed last month had picked up movement. Vela moved to the screen. Her voice dropped. Patrol drone, marked with royal crest. They've found me. Aaron's jaw tightened. What do we do? She looked at him. I fight. He looked back. No. We fight. Vela's silver eyes flashed. You're choosing this? Aaron stepped forward. You knocked on my door. That meant something. She nodded once, then turned toward the door. They'll be here soon. Aaron grabbed a tool belt from the wall, loading it with EMP darts, a signal jammer, and a heavy wrench. Let's give them the welcome they deserve. Outside, the wind picked up. The drone circled overhead. But inside that small house, something bigger than war had begun. A bond not forged by blood, but by choice. The drone was gone, but it had already done its job. It had found her. And now, they were coming. Aaron stood in his workshop, pulling cables and parts from the wall. Old motion sensors, EMP grenades he never thought he'd use. He wasn't a fighter, but he was a builder, and he knew how to make a trap. Vela paced the hallway. Calm. Focused. Her skin glowed faintly now, as if her body knew what was coming. She had wrapped her arm with a fiber steel strap from Aaron's tools and held a sharpened metal rod in her hand like a short spear. You don't have to do this, she said. Aaron looked at her. You already said that. I need to say it again. Too bad, he replied, snapping a battery into a charge trap. This is my home. By sundown, the house looked the same on the outside, but inside, it was ready. Pressure pads beneath. The floor. Electric shock tiles on the porch. Blinding flashlights rigged near the windows. A failsafe trigger in Aaron's pocket that could lock every door for 30 seconds. Just long enough. Vela tested the front door one last time, then stood still. They're close, she said. How close? She closed her eyes. 4, maybe 5 soldiers. Light armor, 2 pulse rifles, 1 energy shield, 1 short-range scanner. Aaron blinked. You just felt all that? She nodded. I was designed to. Then they arrived. No warning. No words. Just a sharp whistle of a drop pod crashing near the backfield, kicking up dirt and fire. 5 figures stepped out, armored head to toe, weapons ready. Their visors flashed red. They moved in formation, fast and silent. Inside, Vela's voice was ice. They sent royal cleaners. No trial. No mercy. Aaron held up a small remote. Let's give them a surprise then. The first soldier stepped onto the porch. Zap electric current surged up his legs and dropped him to the floor, twitching. The second rushed to the window and was blinded by a wall of searing light. The third kicked the front door. Boom! Aaron's pulse trap exploded, sending him flying back into a tree. Vela opened the back door and stepped out like a ghost in the smoke. She moved like nothing Aaron had ever seen. Silent, precise, deadly. The fourth soldier fired a pulse round. Vela rolled forward, dodging the shot, then leapt into the air and snapped his rifle in half with one blow from her arm. The fifth raised a blade, but before he could swing, she touched his neck. One pressure point. He dropped like a stone. Aaron ran outside, eyes wide. All 5 soldiers were down, some breathing, some not. Vela stood in the middle of the yard, her hair blowing in the wind, her glowing skin dimming now. Her breathing was fast, but her stance, unshaken. Aaron walked up beside her. That was, he started. Efficient, she said. I was going to say incredible. She looked at him. There will be more. He nodded. Then we prepare for more. They dragged the bodies to the drop pod and stripped it for parts. Vela erased the tracker, disabled the beacon, and reprogrammed its core. Within minutes, it looked like it had crashed and never landed clean. Back in the house, Aaron handed her a glass of water. She drank slowly. He watched her hand, still shaking. You okay? She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at him with tired eyes. I was built to survive, she said, but I never knew what I was protecting. Until now. Aaron tilted his head. And what's that? She stepped closer. You. The silence. Between them was heavy but not uncomfortable. Something had changed. Not just between them, but within them. Aaron had crossed a line. From mechanic to warrior. And Vela. From fugitive to protector by choice. That night, they sat on the roof, watching the stars. Aaron asked, You said 3 times, right? Save you 3 times, and the bond is complete? Vela nodded slowly. He looked at her. That was 3. She met his gaze. Yes, she said. And now, the bond is sealed. He swallowed. So, what does that mean now? Vela leaned in closer, her voice a whisper. In my world, it means I will defend you until my last breath. I will stand by your side no matter the threat. Aaron tried to joke. Sounds a lot like a wife. She smiled. Exactly. Far above the planet, in deep orbit, a satellite blinked. It had recorded the battle, and it had seen something unusual. A Guardian-class fugitive, bonded to a human, and winning. The morning after the battle was quiet. Too quiet. Birds had left the area. The wind barely moved the trees, and above Aaron's house, a high-altitude drone floated in silence, watching from the edge of space. But inside, something had changed, forever. Vela stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Her hands gripped the sink. The last of the synthetic blood on her cheek had dried. The glow beneath her skin had faded to a soft shimmer. She looked like herself, but she didn't feel like herself. She felt connected. In the living room, Aaron was making breakfast. He didn't speak much. His hands moved slowly, still recovering from the tension of the night before. He kept glancing at the hallway, waiting. The moment she stepped into the room, he knew. There was something different in her eyes now, calmer, stronger, but also softer. You slept? He asked. A little, she said. You don't sleep much, do you? Not since the Empire turned on me. He handed her a plate. You're safe here. I know. They sat at the table in silence. Then she finally said it. It's done. Aaron looked up. What's done? The bond, she said. It's complete. He stopped chewing. You mean the 3rd time thing? She nodded. You saved me 3 times. You protected me from death. You fed me, healed me, stood beside me. And last night you chose to fight with me, knowing exactly what I am. Aaron blinked. And what does that mean, exactly? Vela took a breath. In my people's law, a completed bond can only happen between 2 beings who trust each other fully. It is life-binding, final. Even if I leave you, the connection remains. If you die, I feel it. If you're in danger, I know it. Aaron stared. So you're mine? She tilted her head. No, I am not yours like property. She reached across the table and gently placed her hand over his. I am yours like choice. Aaron's chest tightened. He had never asked for this, never expected it. But now, he didn't feel trapped. He felt chosen. And that meant more than he could put into words. "Do I have to say anything?" he asked softly. Vela smiled. "Only if you mean it." He looked into her eyes. "I do." They sat in silence for a while. Then the radio buzzed, a signal, encrypted. Vela moved fast, pulling it up on the screen. The message was short. "Bond confirmed. Royal Council has detected genetic sync. Violation of Protocol 27, threat level. Red. Prepare for cleansing fleet." Aaron stood. "What does that mean?" Vela's face hardened. "It means they know, and they're coming to wipe us out." Outside, the skies still looked peaceful. But that wouldn't last long. Inside, Vela stepped toward a hidden panel in her armor case. She pressed a sequence of symbols, a soft hum. Then the floor panel lifted. Beneath it, an ancient device. Silver, rounded, and humming with power. "What is that?" Aaron asked. Vela placed her palm on the surface. "My people call it the Koran seed. It's a last resort defense core. We were only supposed to use it if the royal line fell. And," she turned to him, "I'm not royal, but I carry the link. Now that I'm bonded to you, it listens to us." Aaron took a slow breath. "You mean we can fight back?" "No," she said. "We can do more than fight back. We can lead." That night, Vela stood outside beneath the stars, the wind moving gently through her hair. Aaron joined her, wrapping a blanket around both of them. She looked up. "They'll send more ships, more soldiers, maybe even war machines." Aaron nodded. "Let them. You don't understand. They'll come in waves, with fire." He took her hand. "Then we'll burn brighter." For the first time, she leaned her head on his shoulder, not as a weapon, not as a fugitive, but as something new, a partner, wife, a protector who had finally found something worth protecting. And high above them, beyond the moon, the Empire watched, confused, worried, because for all their power, they had never planned for this. They had never planned for a bond made not by force, but by love. 3 days later, the sky over Earth's outer colony changed. At first, it was just a shadow, long, slow-moving, cold. Then came the sound, a low hum that vibrated through the bones. People stepped out of homes, looked up, and froze. A Royal Empire ship was descending. It was not a warship, not yet, but it was worse. It was a judge ship, a vessel of law, built to demand surrender or claim blood. And it was here, for her. Aaron stood at the edge of his property, watching it land just outside the city limits. He didn't flinch. He didn't run. Beside him stood Vela, calm but tense. Her eyes were on the seal painted on the ship's hull. "The Golden Crest," she said. "They sent the council hand." Aaron asked, "What does that mean?" "It means the Empire doesn't want a fight," she paused. "Yet they want to shame us first, tear us down in front of a crowd." Aaron looked her way. "They're going to be disappointed." By mid-morning, a court dome had been erected at the landing site. Citizens gathered to watch. Cameras floated. News feeds went live across 4 systems. Inside, the judge's voice echoed through the dome. "This human," he pointed at Aaron, "has illegally bonded with an imperial genetic asset. He has no right, no clearance, no bloodline. This pairing is a violation of Protocol 27A. Vela stood beside Aaron, silent, hands behind her back. Her expression was blank, controlled. The judge continued. "We demand the release of Vela 5 into our custody. She will be returned to the Empire and the bond will be dissolved. Cleanly." Aaron stepped forward. The cameras zoomed in. "My name is Aaron Holt. I'm not a soldier. I'm not royal. I'm just a man who opened his door to someone bleeding. On his steps, murmurs filled the dome. I didn't know her name, I didn't know what she was running from, but I knew this: she was afraid, and she was alone. He turned to Vela, and I refused to let her face that alone. The judge's voice grew colder. She is a weapon. Aaron shook his head. No, she is a person. She is loyal, fierce, and full of more strength than I've seen in any human or alien. He took her hand in front of everyone. She's also my wife. Gasps echoed around the chamber. Even the judge faltered. Aaron continued, stronger now. The bond between us was not forced. It was formed through kindness, through time, through trust. You may not respect that, but you will not break it. The judge snapped. You defy the Empire? No, Aaron said. I defend my family. The silence was long. Then the judge turned to Vela. Is this your will? She met his gaze with silver fire. I was born to protect bloodlines, but I was never allowed to choose which ones. Until now. She turned to Aaron. I choose him. The judge seethed. Then so be it, he turned to the crowd. This is a betrayal. A weapon turned against its own creators. The Empire will not forget. He pointed to Vela. If you leave this court, you will be marked as rogue. And you? He turned to Aaron. As a traitor. Aaron smiled. Then mark it. The judge stormed out. The crowd stood in stunned silence, and the cameras, they captured it all. Within hours, the scene spread across dozens of systems. The headlines read, Alien Guardian breaks Empire law for human bond, publicly defended in Galactic. Court on the whispers begin. Can bonds break empires? That evening, Vela and Aaron returned home. They sat on the porch as the sky turned gold. She looked tired, but peaceful. You didn't have to speak, she said. I did, he replied. They tried to erase your voice. I just made sure they heard it louder. Vela leaned her head on his shoulder. I think we've started something dangerous. Aaron smiled. Good. High above Earth, the Empire ship pulled away, but not in defeat. It left quietly, because sometimes power doesn't crush its enemies. Sometimes it watches and waits, because now they weren't just hiding a fugitive. They were something more. A symbol. The stars were clear that night. No ships in orbit, no sirens in the distance, just peace. For now. Aaron sat on the roof of his small house, a cup of warm tea in his hand. The wind was soft. The desert around the colony slept. But inside him, something new was awake, something he never thought he would feel again. Belonging. Behind him, soft footsteps. He didn't turn. He didn't have to. She always walked like that, silent, steady, like someone who never truly rested. Vela sat beside him, wrapping a blanket over both of them. Her silver hair shimmered in the moonlight. Her eyes were calm but watchful. Always watchful. I thought the sky would look different after all this, Aaron said softly. It does, Vela replied. It looks possible. Possible for a future. They had returned from the court 2 days ago. The Empire ship had left, but no one believed it was over. Not really. Already rumors had begun. Some said Aaron and Vela were heroes. Others called them dangerous, rebellious, illegal. But here, in their quiet home, they were just two people who chose each other. Vela pointed toward a cluster of blinking stars. That's Serax 4, she said. One of the Empire's deep training colonies. I was there once before I had a name. Aaron looked at her. Before? They only called us by numbers then. I was 5. 5th in the line, 5th most stable, 5th most obedient. He took her hand gently. You're not a number anymore. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm yours, she whispered. And I'm free. Down in the valley, something buzzed. One of Aaron's early warning sensors. Vela didn't even blink. False signal, she said. Dust movement. You're sure? I felt no pulse in the air, no scanners. Aaron smiled. I should just let you run security full time. I already do, she said with a small grin. Later, as the wind grew cooler, they walked back inside. Their home was still the same. On the outside, modest, quiet, simple. But inside, it had changed. The spare room was now a weapons bench. The workroom had a new transmitter system. Their front porch lights could now signal distress in over 12 languages. And on the wall above the fireplace, a metal crest, 2 broken chains, interlocked, welded together, not a symbol of ownership, a symbol of choice. That night, as they lay, side by side, Aaron asked the question he had been holding in his heart. Do you ever wish you'd never knocked on my door? Vela turned her face toward him. No, she said firmly, because I wasn't just looking for shelter. I was looking for someone who wouldn't look at me with fear. She paused. And instead, I found someone who looked at me like I was worth saving. Aaron's voice was quiet. You were. Suddenly, a faint chime rang from the corner screen. Vela sat up instantly. It's not a threat, she said. It's a message. Aaron joined her. The message was short, encrypted in old rebel code. You gave us hope. We see you. When the time comes, we will stand with you. Attached was a symbol, a rising sun behind a broken crest. Vela stared at it. A rebellion? Aaron asked. No, she said softly. A beginning. The Empire had wanted her captured, silenced, erased. But instead, they had created something they could not control. A living memory, a warrior with a voice, and a man who chose her, not because she was perfect, but because she was real. Outside, the stars blinked again. But this time, it felt like the stars were blinking back because she wasn't running anymore. She was watching, she was waiting. And if war came again, she would not be alone.